All right. We are in Venice again. So today we've been interacting with the church at Venice, right? Remember, we keep saying the church is the people. So if the church is the people can express themselves in this mode wherever they are, right? So we're here selling art, but aside from selling art, we're also interacting with the neighbors, right? Today's interaction with the neighbor, ask the question, who is your neighbor, right? Because we want to remember that our neighbor is whoever is closest to us. Sometimes we don't get a choice who our neighbor is, right? But we have an obligation towards our neighbor. We have the obligation to love our neighbor, right? So because what we're talking about, what we're building here, we've conceived it to be something that's on a firm foundation, right? I'm remembering that the best way to share with the neighbor is to live what it is that you firmly believe, right? So just being a visual example of who you are is a good way to be neighborly. Letting your neighbor be safely around you is a good way to be neighborly, right? And then the next question was, what is your lineage, right? Of course, as a lineage, what we're remembering that we are all the product of everything that came before us, right? So naturally speaking, all of our ancestors survived, and those survivors produce us, right? So to honor that survival, right, we get to be here and now in the community expressing neighborliness, right? So of course the natural lineage is one thing, but I always like to stress and point out the spiritual lineage, right? Because I myself, I come from a lineage where I was birthed by a man of God who also birthed a lot of other sons, right? I can look at my lineage and see how capable these sons that this man of God birthed, and sometimes say, hey, I feel like I'm the least of these, right? But nevertheless, I honor that my lineage has taught me to be at peace with my neighbors, right? So when I consider the other assemblies that are nearby here in Los Angeles, right? The Living Gospel Assembly, which is one of our closest neighbors, the brother Jones working out here, right? I consider as a lineage of peace, this is something that I have to keep in mind, right? And then the last question we asked today, we asked, when is this dispensation, right? Of course, the reason a dispensation is important, we can look back in human history and see so many periods where the Spirit of God almost felt like it was dormant, right? Like there was no great movement of God's active operation on the earth, right? And the reason dispensational thinking is important is because there are times in God's calendar where He chooses to do great things, right? And I'm giving honor to my lineage because my lineage brought me here, and then now that I'm here, I'm realizing this is a time where God is having a great outcome, right? So in this dispensation, we're saying if you are feeling this outpouring, right? The best way to be an expression of this outpouring is to be a member of a righteous group of neighbors being divine together, right? This is what we're calling a church. We're calling the intention to be together in the process of learning and growing and effecting our ascension amongst each other as the thing of value, right? So check all this out. This is all on the Venice Community Church site, and I think our videographer or person who is managing the site, who creating it, who is right now behind the camera, right? This is Mia that has set this all in motion. We talk a lot about, having a thing that brings us to the world like the internet can do, but we haven't taken a lot of steps to do it. And I appreciate that it was Mia's effort in that way that kind of set this going, right? This is the essence of what it means to be a church. Everybody working together.
Couldn't have done it without you, brother.
All right, praise God.
Praise
Blessed
God.
be Yeshua the
Blessed
Anointed.
be.